I'm sure that most of you are replaying your own Ray Weaver stories in your memory tonight. I've asked two alumni to join us on stage and tell us some of their fondest memories of Ray. As the orchestra and choir assemble behind us, would you welcome Reverend Jack French and Harold Rogers to the stage?
While I was preaching in a gospel team setting at Beulah Missionary Church, Dr. Weaver came up to me. I call him Dr. Weaver. And he said to me, "You never took the fine arts course that I teach." And that's true. I found out tonight that I'm undereducated and poorly educated. I've made it my business to study and to learn a lot of things that he taught because I'm interested in those things as well. But it must have been because I was in the touring choir and other things that they didn't require. I met my fine arts requirements in some other way. Ray Weaver was a very funny man. Funny on purpose sometimes, and just funny by the way he said things, the way he taught, the way he moved. He was a unique and wonderful person, and I might say a great, great gift from God for Bethel College. I talked to a few students who had his course in the auditorium, and they gave me some things they remembered. One was that he brought a vase one day. At my home where I was raised, we had vases. This was a vase. And he proceeded to tell them that this was an Oriental Asian vase. Please pass it around and be very careful. He said its value, this was in 1982, is about $17,000. But if you drop it and break it, I will try not to notice. That's the generous kind of heart that he had. It was really a plea, please take care of this. In that same setting with that same class in '82, this student remembered a time when the class came in and they were just buzzing as students are talking until things are brought to order. And they didn't quiet down, though he was standing there. He proceeded to go to the bench of the piano, do a headstand, which we saw on the video, but he succeeded. He did a headstand, reached up with one hand. Now, don't ask me how he did this. The students saw this happen, and he played about 4 bars of chopsticks. Then he got down and he looked at the class and he said, "Now that I have your attention, may I teach you?" It was in the same class that a student said to me when we had one of our major exams, he said, as only Ray Weaver could, and how I loved him. He said with anxiety and with his hands moving, "I want you all to do so well. If you have studied hard, and if you've done your best to get prepared for this, but you just can't remember the answer, and I want you to get the right answer," he said, "feel free to look at your neighbor's paper." This student said to me, "I don't think the dean took kindly to that." I don't know if Dr. Dwayne Beals is here tonight, but Dwayne and I were roommates our freshman year, and that was in 1957. We were walking across the campus over by Huffman, by the ad building on the front side, and along came Dr. Weaver, who drove up and didn't park as one might park toward the oak trees and toward the fountain, but just parallel with the building. He stopped his car there. He jumped out of the car and he said, boys, please come and help me. I can't get my headlights off. Please come and help me." So we ran over there. It was a Ford. Dr. Beals is a Ford man. He reached in through the door, pushed the button in, because on all the Fords then you turn them on like this, you turn them off like this. He said, "Mr. Weaver, you must have pulled that out." He said, "I can't remember." Well, he said, "That's the only way to get them on." And I stood there and I thought to myself, we are singing the Handel's Messiah over at the United Methodist Church in Mishawaka, and I have seen him when we practice play the pipe organ in that church, and he's pulling and pushing all of those stops, and he never missed to sing one of them, but he didn't know how to turn his headlights off. I learned from two students who are both very accomplished musicians, Nancy Stump, who's here tonight, and Karen Rohr Cook. Both of his students are very accomplished pianists. They told me something very interesting, that some of their first lessons, this is not anything funny, it's just interesting to me, that they had to pay $2.50 a lesson when they started as little girls. The more interesting part is that he never kept track of the money, which would have been cash, and he would put it in the music books. And Vivian would have to go through all of his books and music to find the money, because it was all tucked in there someplace. This man definitely was not attached to mammon. That was not important to him. I was walking through Goodman Auditorium one time. I was alone. There was nothing happening there. I don't know why I was there, but I heard the organ playing. And so I walked in, big open gymnasium, and there was an organ on the stage. And I could hear Mr. Weaver talking, but I couldn't see him. And I thought, where is he? So I crept around and looked over the edge of the stage, not wanting to be noticed. And here is a female student sitting on the bench, and Dr. Weaver is on his belly behind, with his head underneath of the bench, with his hands on her ankles, getting her feet on the pedals in the right place. Oh yes, I saw it with my own eyes. And he said, now do you get that? Do you feel that now? Do you feel that? Just like that. And she's going, oh, yes, going like that. And so my closing word regarding that is that he was hilariously a hands-on kind of teacher.
I'm not going to top that. I was the first in my family to attend college, so I'd have to navigate the troubled waters all by myself as best I could. I was an average student, so coursework could be challenging at times. One of those courses was World Civilization that I took during my third semester at Bethel. It gave me a severe beating. Fortunately, Perspective in Fine Arts followed in the next semester, allowing me to heal from those wounds. There was much to learn in this class taught by Dr. Ray Weaver, because it was a respite from other courses as well. There was much to be exposed to, but it was approached in an engaging manner. Field trips were like car, and if the lot fell to you to ride with Dr. Weaver, you were provided with plenty additional excitement. My memory recalls that the gas and brake pedals were a little bit further away from the ends of his legs than they should have been, and that the acceleration and braking would push you back in your seat or heave you forward with little advance notice. All this so that there was more time to observe architectural lines or artistic masterpieces. The key in this course was to learn, not to feel the pressure of getting a passing grade. This was exemplified by a test we had during one class when we had to identify the different genres of music played by Dr. Weaver. He would begin a piece, and we'd write down the style of music that it was, and then he would repeat with another one. And I can clearly hear him say, just before beginning another one, and now I'm going to play a rumba. Whether giving the answer was intentional, I do not know. What I do know is that my perspective of fine arts improved that semester, and it created in me a desire to know more about the arts.
Ray loved all kinds of music, but we heard that Bach was one of his favorites. So to honor that, we are pleased to have the Bethel College Concert Choir and the Bethel College Chamber Orchestra joined by guest musicians as they perform Jesu, Joy of Man's Desiring.